Well, technical difficulties. Hold on one sec. All right. All right, welcome to WitchLab Wednesday Live. Today is March 24th, 2021. I'm your host, Tiffany Boggins, and today's guest will be Jason Miller. That's right, author, teacher, all-around magical guy. Love him very much. We're going to have him on in just a little bit. So let's see, what's new, guys? What's new? Let's see. I've written myself notes to check the comments early, so I'm trying to do that, trying to keep on top of that. So what's new? I want to thank everybody who came to the Amy Blackthorne class, Hexy Cocktails and Magic Potions. It was amazing. It was one of the funnest classes we've had. I think because it was interactive, because we got to mix stuff together, that was really cool. I think that that's something we should do in the future. I've been having this idea of doing a class where when you sign up, I send you a box of stuff and then we get to work on something together. I may have mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again because hopefully we'll get to doing it. Hey, Jean. Hey, Bobo. Hey, Kim. Thanks, guys. Hey, Mark. Hey. The whole crew is showing up. So let's see. Check this out. Got my first shot today. My first vaccination. That's exciting. Hey, Michelle, Christina. So that's cool. What that means, we still don't know. So we'll find out. According to Kate O'Brien, who knows these things, she says that, you, Abigail. Hey, Casey. She says that what they find is that it protects you from the disease, but they don't know if you can still get infected or if you can infect other people. So still scary, still mask time. They're like, we don't know. We're going to get enough people vaccinated and then we'll see. Yeah, so we'll see. But I got it. I go for my next one in 4 weeks. So that's cool. So hopefully this is the beginning of the end of the times that we're in. Hey, Wendy, and hey, Rachel. Okay, so yeah, that's some exciting things. The closer we get to being able to actually congregate in person, the happier I am, because I miss being around lots of people. Trust me, the events that we'll have. Upcoming WitchLab stuff. Oh, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff I want to tell you guys about. So let's see. This Saturday, March 27th, we have the DIY Rites of Passage class with Guion and Phoenix, who they were on the last show. Amazing. And it's only $25, and it's this Saturday. So if you want to see me twice in 1 week, April 7th, Lilith Dorsey will be here, author of the new book, Water Magic. She also wrote Love Magic and Orishas, Goddesses, and Buddha Queens, and a bunch of other things. And she'll be teaching a class for us April 16th. This Lilith, Mama Brigitte, and the Pompajira, right? The dark goddesses of your dreams. April 1st and April 8th are the two blood magic classes that Lauren Davis is teaching. You have to take the first one to get the second one. That's just the way it works. And April 21st, Stephen Intermill from the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic will be on. That is awesome. Steve and I are great friends, and it's really fun to talk to him, so that'll be cool. He's close. He's in Cleveland, so we get to see each other even sometimes. And on June 23rd, this is a pre-round of applause, we have Judica Illis. Yes! So that's going to be sweet. So that's the stuff that's coming up, and I'm excited about it, and I hope you are too. Let's see who else has said hi. Jean is here. Betty Ann is here. Christy, very exciting. Keep it coming. And today, people, I want you to ask questions. I've never seen this man stumped, so I want you to ask him anything. He's really, really knowledgeable about a lot of stuff that you don't even know until you start asking him. Jonathan, hello from Central PA. That's cool. Christy's from Michigan. Oh, I like this. Tell me where you're from. That's awesome. I love it. All right. Let's get to the man, shall we? Let's do this. I had to write it all out because there's so much. He is the author of Protection and Reversal Magic, The Sorcerer's Secrets, Financial Sorcery, Sex, Sorcery and Spirit, and Elements of Spellcrafting. He has also developed and teaches some of the most amazing, impressive online courses that I've ever seen. Strategic Sorcery, which he started forever ago, is still going strong because it's really effective. The Sorcery of Hecate, which we all know how I feel about that. And the Black School of Saint Cyprian. I've wanted to take that one forever. I will eventually. It's in my once I have time. He is a traveler, a sorcerer, and the man who helped me realize it is better to understand than to be understood. Folks, allow me to introduce my very, very good friend, Jason Miller. Round of applause, everybody. Yes.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. What a lineup you have. You got to say hi to Lilith Dorsey and Judica as well. I just turned my latest book into Judica, so she is the powers that be at Wiser. So
I know it, man. She's serious. She's so we did a little pre-interview together, her and I, and it was awesome. It was well over the time I expected it to take, and she's just so cool to hang out with. So I'm excited about getting her on here.
One of my favorite people, and someone who truly loves the spirits.
Yeah. Oh, she's wonderful. So let's see. Nathan says hello from Omaha. Laura says hello from the north side of Columbus. And James, who is now calling me his vaccination wife, which we got vaccinated together. He kind of thinks that's some sort of thing. It's not, although he is the reason that I went and got vaccinated, because he's the one who called me and said, hey, I'm making an appointment. There's a place that has things. Come with me. So,
wow.
So thanks to James. I still don't think that makes us married, though.
It doesn't make you married, but
Hey, Tony Rotunda is also here from the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. We've got lots of people. This is awesome. Okay, so you brought up your book, so that's going to bring me to the first question. What are you excited about? Like, what's your book about? Like this new one?
Well, it's called Consorting with Spirits, and I don't think we have a subtitle. We may not have a subtitle. I don't even know, because every time I try to think of a subtitle, it would have the word spirits in it, and then that's just redundant, right?
So it's like, what is it? Say it again.
Consorting with Spirits, which was
like consorting with spirits. The spirits that you talk to.
Exactly. So we'll come up with something, but Consorting with Spirits, which was, of course, the name of the crime you would have been charged with in England a few 100 years ago.
That's cool, man. Oh.
So this one's for all the modern day criminals who want to go about consorting with their invisible friends. And
so it's for me.
Right. But it also, the other reason, the other aspect to consorting is it implies more than just, oh, I need something. This is the book of everything that I need. This is the column. This is the spirit. Let me call it up. Consorting is a relationship. Consorting has dynamics of a relationship where, in one area, it's one, so the book is really focused on that. It's there's instructions in there on how to summon spirits, and there's instructions on how to get rid of them. But really what the book is about is what happens in between. What happens after you have a spirit in your life? And what are those other modes of operation that you can work with, Yeah. I mean, you might do a 3-hour ceremony to get in touch with Astaroth. But are you going to do that every time? Or do you develop shorthand methods? Or does it become completely casual? Or or
like
what.
You can text him like, "Hey, Azzy, need this thing." Like,
totally, and so these things change over time, and it's so yeah. That's what the book is. Matt Brownlee again did all the art, so it's fun.
So I love the word consorting because it makes me think of illegal activities. It makes me think of she was caught consorting with, and then, the type or whatever. And I love that. I love consorting. I love being.
I know you do.
And when you say Matt Brownlee, it makes me think of consorting because we consorted on we did a lot of consorting. We all did, didn't we? Like,
well, you were just telling me the other day, like, why is every picture with both of us together, we're lying in a bed, like years apart?
There was consorting going on,
but with other people.
I know it was completely innocent. It was always innocent, but that just seems to be the pictures that have survived.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, there's evidence of consorting.
There's evidence of consorting.
Would that be consortium?
Oh, I hope not.
You're the one who's trying to catch me on the EDT thing. Wow. I was like, damn, jerk. Okay, maybe whatever. It's Eastern. Whatever time you think 8:30 is right now, I think 8:30 is too.
I got busted on it a few years ago. I was like, it's all times are EST, and then somebody was like, "You mean EDT?" And I was like, "God, you're right." But
you made me look it up. I totally looked it up. I'm like, God damn it! Fine, it's whatever you said it is.
Now it gets really tricky when you're in Nepal because instead of like just an hour and an hour and an hour and an hour, India decided to be like a half an hour different from everyone in that time zone. And then just to be obstinate, Nepal decided to be 15 minutes off from India. And so it's like doing the, like, what time is it there? And then you give it, and then they're like, no, that doesn't.
So you have to do complex time problem solving in order just to like have a date with somebody who's like a little whiles away.
If you want to have a phone call or something. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's too much. I'd say it's easier here. Abigail is taking blame for the EDT, EST. Abigail, this one wasn't your fault. This wasn't a comment that I made. And Jason called me out on that comment specifically. So Abigail's the one who...
You mean EDT.
You meant EDT, didn't you? Yeah, yes. Thank you. But
now Tiffany, my wife Tiffany, not you.
Right.
She cracked she came up with the most just brilliant idea. The night before the clocks changed, at about, like, I don't know, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, like, we went around and we changed all the clocks then. And we basically just didn't tell the kids. So as they transitioned off of devices, right, they transitioned away from any places they'd be able to look and into this new daytime world that we had set up. And you know what? There was no lag the next day. We didn't lose an hour of sleep. The kids got to, bed at a normal time. It was perfect. And all we did is, like, instead of setting it before bed, we just set it before dinner. And it worked. It was just brilliant.
That's really good. It is brilliant to not have that weird hour shift mess with your sleep, but to mess with your dinner time. Way better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tiffany's a genius. Way to go. That's awesome. You guys have been together for, I know it's over 20 years, but I don't know how long.
Yeah, no, we got married when I was 30 on her 31st birthday. So we've been married for about 18 years. And we got together like 1997.
You can make me do math in front of all these people.
Yeah, a long time.
Long time. One of the people watching can do the math for us. Also, fuck it, time is an illusion. I agree with that. That's true.
There
right?
you go.
That's a good point. Who the hell says we have to have clocks anyway? Well, we do, so that you can tune in at 8:30 to watch this show, because it's live. So 24 years. Rachel, Kayla, thank you. Wait, 24 years. 24 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right? Yep, and we've known each other for at least that. God damn.
A little longer.
Yeah, a little longer. Yep. I moved to Philly in 1994, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we met shortly after that.
Yeah.
I started dating Paul. Paul's old roommate, Matt, was your new roommate.
That's right.
So we would get together and watch The Simpsons and
you were at the first
drugs.
Like, yeah, well, yeah. A lot of that. Yeah, you were at the first ritual that we ever did at Matt and ours house that we invited people to. So like before OTO, before any of that, it was like a Baphomet thing, and you were
That
there.
was the first thing you guys did at the apartment?
Maybe, yeah.
Damn, well, I feel incredibly honored then. That's cool.
Now, you know what's funny? My wife and sometimes me in the morning, we're doing like on Sundays, she does Zoom for the Methodist Episcopal Church, the Black Church, the AME, African Methodist Episcopal. And the one she goes to is Mother Bethel, which, if you remember, was about 50 feet off of the fire escape of that apartment.
Really?
Like, if you walked into our kitchen.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
And then, like, the first time Matt and I ever went into the apartment was on a Sunday, and I opened the door, and from down the hall, I just heard, "You got to have the Holy Spirit. You got to let him in. You got to let him into your heart. You got to let him into your heart." And I was like, what is going on? And so I walked through the apartment. I opened up the kitchen doors to the fire escape, and 50 feet away is Mother Bethel with this huge stained glass window that was just great to look at.
Yes.
Oldest piece of African-American owned property in the United States. Like, hasn't left the hands of African-Americans since the early 1800s when it was purchased.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's cool.
It's great. And so, you know, if you have, if anyone ever has like a mind to go to, like, you know, attend a church service, I know this is WitchLab, but, you know, it's all the same shit for me. So, yeah. You know, but yeah, AME, the Mother Bethel Church, you know, good sermon.
That's awesome. That's
better
cool.
Music than, you know, anywhere else.
Yeah, right. For sure. Okay, so let's talk about Hecate.
All right.
Let's do that. So we have a lot of Hecate. I don't know if I'd go so far as to call them devotees, but definitely a lot of people who follow, who work with. Hecate is one of our biggest booksellers for sure. You know, we sell tons of Hecate books, and you know, we sell a ton of Hecate oil because of you. It's absolutely one of our biggest sellers. And I can always tell where you are in the course. So your Sorcery of Hecate course is 6 months long. And there is a part in it where you give them all the recipe for the oil that you suggest they make for this course in their work. And that recipe is daunting. Like you're just looking at it, you're like, oh crap, I don't even know what okay. But and then you gave that recipe to me and you allowed me to make it. And but I can always tell when you're at the point where you're giving them the speech about the oil, because the next day my employees are like, oh my God, the online orders are off the charts. Yes. So,
should I give you like a couple weeks heads up? Like
my assistant manager Kate was actually asking, like, maybe just a little bit, a smidge of time, just so that we know it's coming. But I also know you're a busy guy, and you know what? I can take it. So if you think of it, cool. But if not, it's really okay.
It's cool. Yeah. I'm so happy you make it, and there's so many people who do uh things for that course. There's Zen and Meow in America, and then another Martin Bell, I think his name is, makes like the tables that we use and things. Just for the course, and there are people, so many artists have done their rendition of Hecate and now various spirits associated with it, and they have prints up for sale and things like that. So, and then I just had Brownlee do a new one for the new book, and I said, let's just like upset everyone and make her just a little different.
Oh, really?
So the arrangement of how she's holding things is slightly different, and there's a different facial expression. And so what I like to say is kind of like, as people look, she's in motion, and so we start and we concentrate on a static image and we get it right that way, but it doesn't mean that once you have that she won't do something else. And so we have we just changed it just a little bit. Same implements, same arms and heads and things, but just a little spin.
And just to keep her moving, right?
Keep her
evolving.
Maybe tweak everyone's expectations.
Love it.
I remember I was sitting in front of I was taking a teaching from Lama Rinchen. I can't remember his other name, but we're in front of this gigantic green Tara Tonka. And he was giving a teaching on Tara, and he's like, I don't want you to visualize her like she looks here. He's like, I want you to visualize her like however she would look good to you. Like, right on, man.
Oh, and really?
So, it was sort of like, it doesn't have to look like Tonka. Like, make her luminous, not like this, and then make her sexy. So it was a good class.
That's cool. And I don't know if that influenced, because I know that your Hecate stuff came from actual experiences. But your Hecate, the stuff that you've designed to go with the course, like your vision of her, or at least how she appeared to you, very sexy, like super sexy Hecate, not like old crone. And you really push that in the class when you talk about it. Like this is young Hecate.
The crone is a new thing that was never part of her history. Like at no point is she described as a crone in antiquity. That sort of came out of the whole maiden mother crone Robert Graves thing. And she's super sexy, but she's not like not tits in the face sexy like Pombajira or something.
She's not doing it for you. She's just sexy because of how fucking powerful she is.
You know what? That's perfect. She's sexy because of how powerful, but she's not like your manic pixie sex goddess or something like that. So much to my disappointment.
Oh man. So one of the things that I loved about that class so much, one, because when I got to take it, I got to hear you talk for, an extended amount of time. Like every time a new video would come out, I would get to listen to you and you were one of my first teachers. And so I'm used to listening to you talk about magic, and I love it because I can relate to you. Because you're very free, and and you curse a lot, and that's really endearing to me. It was just like listening to you sitting in the apartment years ago, and so you still have that way of just speaking naturally and getting your point across. But then the question and answer series, So for every lesson, there's a question and answer series. And I've seen you tackle some shit that I'm like, what? I don't even understand half the question. And you're like, and you just knock it out. And then sometimes you're like, no, I'm not answering that again.
We have, the class has been growing. We're kind of in at the top of like a Hecate bubble, I think. Not with the course, just with the world.
I agree.
And so this particular cycle is huge. I mean, it's just a lot of people.
How many people do you have in this one?
It's like close to 200 in this cycle.
Holy shit. Okay, yeah.
And so, you know, I'm dedicated to getting everyone's question answered. Like, absolutely pathologically dedicated that if it's down there, I answer it. That's what you pay me for. And it's a job, you know, like, this is my job. You paid good money. Let's do it. However, like, with the ability to find, like, Control F to see if somebody had asked the question or something like it. So I am sort of like, let's kill the repeat questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally I had to kind of say, like, can we limit to like 9 questions a person? So I went on the group, right? And I my first thing was like, because you had like 1 or 2 people that were like, they kind of get like, I've got somebody that will answer all of my questions. I'm going to ask all of my questions, whether they have to do with this course or not, you know, doesn't matter what, you know. And so it's, which is cool, which is fine, because I'd rather people do that than just kind of not participate or so. But it was getting sort of to the point where it's like, okay, we have to pull this in. So I said to the group, I'm like, would anyone object? Because, you know, I work for you while we're doing this. Would anyone object if I limited it to 9 questions? I know this wasn't stated at the beginning, and everybody's like, no, limit it to 5 questions. You know, some people were like 3 at the most. So I was like, all right, let's pull it back to 9 and see how we do. And then people, you know, then that caused people to sort of, okay, now I really am going to check if there's a repeat question. And so we quickly got it under control. So those Q&A sessions now are like 2 hours instead of 5 hours.
Well, the course that I took, I think that the longest one was 3 hours. So I wasn't there for the real bad stuff, evidently, because I never got a 5-hour question answer video.
Well, I separate them out. So now I try to cut it like 45 minutes. So that way, you know, people can get on a treadmill and listen and take a drive and listen.
Yeah, just watch it in chunks.
Yeah. Split it into chunks. I've learned my lessons.
So you moved to Vermont.
I did.
Why did you? Okay, so background on both of us. We both grew up in New Jersey.
We did.
Right? And then we both moved to Philly in our 20s.
Yeah.
Which is where we met. We didn't know each other in New Jersey. And then I moved to Columbus, and you moved to Vermont.
Well, I mean, I just recently moved to Vermont, so I was in New Jersey for a while. Yeah. So Tiff and I used to visit Vermont back when we lived in Philly because it was an off-season vacation. We'd come in the summer, and because, you know, nobody had money back, you know, in your 20s,
right?
And so we would take these, you know, week-long, weekend, whatever, up to Vermont. Quiet, gorgeous, just unbelievably gorgeous in the summer and in the fall. And so then when we had kids, we came up for a week, and Tiffany had the brilliant idea to come up for 2 weeks and to enroll the kids in a summer camp here for one of those weeks so that we, the adults, could run around and do whatever.
God, she's so smart.
She really is. So we do that, and then we go back to New Jersey, and the kids did not want to do New Jersey summer camp. They wanted Vermont, because New Jersey summer camp is sort of like, it's in the school, you can go out for X amount of time, but if it's over 90 degrees, it has to be a really short amount of time. And whereas Vermont, it's sort of like a big field with a little, enclosure that you can go under when it rains. There, everybody knows one another. It was run by teenagers who are just like, like one adult and a bunch of teenagers, and the kids just could go, and they spent all day, every day outside hiking and everything else. So the next summer I start working for myself, like no more day job, strategic sorcery, full time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we start to look at things, and I said, actually, I can't take credit. It again is Tiffany. So she says, for the cost of a New Jersey summer camp, we could actually rent a house in Vermont and pay for summer camp in Vermont. And you could go up for the whole summer with the kids, and I would come up on weekends because she worked for the state at that time. And so we did this for 5 years.
Wow.
And what happened is the town I live in has about 800 residents. And so we get to know everyone here, much more than we do in New Jersey, even though we're only spending 3 months of the year up here. The kids, all their best friends are up here. And so finally, it was just sort of like, once I got to the point where Tiff didn't need to work anymore, and I was sort of like, and now we can move anywhere we want because I can work from anywhere. So where do we want to move? And so Vermont came. And so we bought this house. It's post and beam. It's very Vermonty. It's all wood everywhere. A little too much wood for Tiffany at times, like, because she's like, I don't know you can't just paint it. It's like a cabin looking, And so we're up here, and the kids love it. The school system is unbelievable. I stopped into the hospital earlier. I had an appointment for something, and I walked in, and they said, "You must be Jason," because that's how few people there are in Vermont. And so there are great things. The kids love to ski and snowboard. I have some difficulties with my feet with snowboarding and skiing, so it didn't quite work out as well as I would like. So it's got downsides. For anyone thinking of moving up here, it has some serious downsides. Like right now is spring everywhere but here. You have flowers probably, like you walk out, trees are starting to get buds and flowers, and in New Jersey you start to see little flowers here. We don't even call it spring in Vermont. It's called mud season. And I mean, I kid you not. It's because all the snow and the mountains, it just mud. So we're in mud season now. And yeah, so, and every now and then you wake up in the morning and, what is the temperature today? And it's sort of like, I have my Alexa and Google both set to like a British voice. So they're like, the temperature today is 2 degrees. The wind chill, it feels like -12. Have a great day. I'm like, yeah, you have a great day. -12.
Fuck you and your -12.
Exactly. But so it's got its ups and downs, but in general, we love it. It's super quiet. It's calm. It's the school systems are amazing. and it's beautiful. So, but I miss the city, and I miss people, and I hate Airbnb because now I'm surrounded by Airbnbs. So for a while,
Oh, wow.
it's sort of like, I'll be sitting, and on Friday, I'm just sort of like the nosy neighbor with binoculars, right? I'm just sitting in my office, and as I see these people come in, I'm like, okay, what fresh hell will this bring? And then once I see the guys, like if it's a family that gets out, I'm like, fine, whatever, I don't care. There's guys that come out and they're like, dude, oh, we're gonna kill the mountain. Woo! It's like a Mountain Dew commercial just breaks out. And I mean, it's Vermont. We've got a distance, but at 2:00 in the morning, when they come back from the bar and decide, I'm just like, God, I'm so tired of calling the cops. One day, this guy is like, came out of the woods in dreadlocks and a bathrobe and just walks up to my house. And I happened to be outside at that moment. And I was like, dude, he's like, oh, hey. And he just keeps walking. I'm like, where the fuck are you going? He's like, oh, I think I'm at the wrong house, man. And I just pointed away, and he walked up. But I'm thinking to myself now, I'm like, okay, this guy is like out in a bathrobe, stoned and drunk or both, and it's going to get down to like 7 tonight. So, am I going to wake up to stoner sickle, or should I call the sheriff? You don't want to call the police for no reason, but at the same, I want to make it clear, like, look, I'm not saying anyone was trying to break in. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to wake up to like a body on the road
because he can't find his Airbnb.
Right. Yeah. So
Kim says that is so Vermont. She calls them ski bros.
Yep. Yep. All the time. Yeah. Man, it's crazy. It's nutty.
Have you seen a show? There's a show on Hulu. I don't know what it was on originally, but it's called The Guest Book.
I haven't, no.
Okay. So the idea, the theme is that it's, the guest book that you get at one of those little cabins. And so every episode is a different tenant, and it's a different situation. It is hilarious. It's written by the guy who did My Name is Earl.
Nice.
Yeah, and I don't know if he did Raising Hope also, but if you're familiar with My Name is Earl and Raising Hope, the amount of actors that you'll see crossover, it's fantastic. It's hilarious. It's way more adult. Like there's times in almost every episode where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in. So I suggest everyone watch that. It's on Hulu again. So The Guest Book.
The Guest Book.
Anyway, but it reminds me of what you're saying. Like every week there's this new adventure to next door, because in the show there's a regular person who lives next door who's not a rental, and they just watching the shit go down.
That's me. Now, magically, this is sort of a challenge too, because ordinarily you'd hotfoot the neighbors. I've done that, get somebody to move, you'd silence the neighbors, whatever. But it doesn't quite work the same, because magic needs a little time to work. And so how does that happen when it's a different group every week? It's a challenge.
I feel like you have to put some sort of either block between you and the other house, some sort of barrier that you would work with, or something, some sort of thing on that house to keep it subdued. Well,
but I mean, that's the thing. Like we could curse the house, but
not curse. It's more of a.
If you've got a spell for an effective sound barrier, I want to know.
I'll work on it, because I could use
strange level stuff. All of a sudden, I'm coming out to Columbus to study with you.
I want to tell you that I have gotten my house to the point where it is so invisible that, and it's totally visible, but I do a lot of, I do a lot of wards and stuff like that. I do a lot of perimeter work. But it's gotten to the point where all my deliveries go next door. People literally can't see my house anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to pull it back a little bit. And then it was good. But man, just this week, it started up again. And I don't think I did anything consciously where I like re-upped things. Although there's been some weird shit. Maybe I did. I don't know.
It's particularly bad when you do it. I did that with cars. And I'd be like, why is it like I'm driving a bright orange car? Why are people not seeing me? And I'm like, oh, right.
Yeah, you don't want to be seen by
not be seen by the cops.
Right? So that's in elements of spellcrafting about just how specific you need to be with your magic, right? Your intention. Man, that made me think of something else. Oh, I know what it made me think of. I just scored a suit of armor just like the one you and Matt used to have in the apartment.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Right? I bought it almost nostalgically. I was like, oh my God, this is so great.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, I remember that thing was next to the door all the time, I'm pretty sure, or in the corner. But I knew it was something that you guys had done something to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We could leave that apartment unlocked for months at a time.
It was very well protected. Yeah.
At one point, I think Haitian Press, right?
Yes.
So Urs was from Falaise. She was, from Philly. We would come home and like Urs would just be like sitting on our couch reading a book. So it didn't work for her. She could always get past it, but yeah.
Well, I think friendlies were allowed in, right?
Yeah, friendlies were.
Pretty sure if I walked into your house and you weren't there, I could have been fine.
Yeah,
I think. You know what? I don't know. I never tried.
No, it was a pretty free. We were very free back then. All open door, and
That was a good time, man. Those good times. Yeah, there was so many times. We had so many parties at your apartment. Oh my Lord.
Oh my, yeah.
There was a lot of things that went down in those days. So fun. So fun.
The 24-hour New Year's party. That only ended because we went to Locust Bar.
That's right. Oh man, I love that place too.
And I remember, for anyone listening, I know we're not talking a lot about magic, but it was kind of advice. If you're going to have a really long party, have a couple speed freaks come, because when you go to sleep, like I'm just like, all right, it's like 4:00 in the morning. I've got to catch some shut eye. So everybody's like just lays down wherever they are and goes to sleep. And I'm just like, as I'm laying off, I'm like, oh man, tomorrow is going to be such a cleanup day. And I wake up at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and like Jeff has everything stacked, like all the beer cases are stacked, all the books are put away, cleaner than when we started.
Oh, I can see that.
All the dishes are done like this, like, so here's a beer. And then we sat on and, day 2 of party began.
Oh man, that's so good. Hey, do you remember the name of the place that we used to go in the morning that was, that we could get the Bloody Marys?
Yeah.
That were extra strong. What was that place called?
I don't remember. It was on Kamak Street.
Yeah, it was that brunch place. Oh, yeah. So good.
And for those that don't know, Kamak Street is the only street in Philadelphia with wooden cobblestones.
That's right.
To keep the horses and carriages quiet during church.
Oh, is that why?
But I don't remember the name of it. Bob and Barbara is coming to my head, but it's not Bob and Barbara's. It was something.
No, it was like that. It was like a little gay bar, but then they would have brunch.
Yep.
Oh, it was lovely.
Yep.
Anyway, so we actually have real questions. So we can talk.
Yeah, let's talk magic.
So there was actually a good question that I actually wanted you to discuss. Where did it go? I believe Jonathan asked it. He was, or maybe Richard did. Somebody asked a question about why. Oh, here we go. Got it. Found it. Richard says, WitchLab, will there be books based on the sorcery of Hecate classes? And I want you to explain this to people because I think this is a really cool answer.
Yeah.
I've heard you say it. I love it.
So no, never. I was forbidden, in fact, from doing this. And so a little background, the sorcery of Hecate stuff started to come in 2000. So 21 years ago, I started to receive this stuff, and I've received it over the years. It's still unfolding because there's now a level 3 of the course. It's crazy. But this is also around the time that Andrew Chumley's books started to get big. And so like everybody was doing these specialty published in England, limited edition, bound in goat scrotum books that, that were just so cool. And I was thinking, this is going to be an incredible grimoire. And Hecate kept saying, nope, can't be a book. It should not be a book. It is not book shaped. And I'd be like, well, what else is there? Like, it's got to be a book, right? And she'd be like, look, if it's a book, people buy it. They flip to the middle. They try something that they think looks good. It doesn't work. They put it away. It's garbage. She's like, that won't work. This is a system where to even grasp how to do something midway, you have to have not just read, but understood and done the things ahead of time. Like you have to have a competency in one lesson before you can even really do the next lesson. And so for that reason, it will never be a book. When I get too old to teach it, I might make some kind of FAQ and then just say, well, this is the 20-hour Q&A for the course, and beyond that, you guys are on your own because I'm dead. Or living in the Maldives, and I just don't have patience for this anymore. But
wait. So you're saying we can't consort with you after you're dead?
No.
You're like, we're done. I'm out.
The location of my remains will be a well-guarded mystery. I'm purchasing like 5 or 6 dummy plots.
Oh, this is awesome. I'm pretty excited about this.
So,
the hunt for the real Jason Miller.
Dead too.
What's that?
I said, what are you excited about? You're going to be dead too. We're roughly the same age.
I'm going to live forever. What are you talking about?
So yeah.
It's the only way I'm going to be able to enjoy my retirement if I live forever. That's it.
Few dummy plots and throw people off the scent. Absolutely.
So you got to hide some fake maps.
Absolutely.
In some places like that people will find, like put some dummy maps in your old manuscripts, like your originals. We'll be going through and be like, oh my God, I found it. It's like a whole Goonies adventure for magicians.
Absolutely.
I think that's awesome. I'm in. I want to be a part of it somehow. Entirely
offline, like any. And then no one will know what to do because it'll be entirely offline.
Yeah, at that time, nobody will have any idea. That's right. Yeah. Jean says that Tiffany Boggins will live forever drinking the blood of her sacrificed enemies.
There you go.
I don't actually have any enemies, but it'll be definitely the blood of something. Maybe my friends. I bet my friends would do it. Just take me now. I'm done. That's it. When you're ready, let me sacrifice you, and then I'll hide your body. I can be trusted. It's just a thought. Okay, so I want to talk to you about, and I know this was a very short-lived thing. I don't even know if you actually finished it, but the financial sorcery class that you did.
So I did, so I did. It's funny you should ask about this because I'm starting. I did not advertise it outside of the strategic sorcery community, but tomorrow is the first day of the new Jupiter class.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
Sorcery of Achievement. So, once it runs the first cycle, I'll open it up. If it goes well, I'll open it up to anyone that wants to join. But I try to keep the first cycle of anything new in-house because there's always like late lessons and things because I can't do anything ahead of time. So like if it's not done live, I can't do it. So that also means like if lesson 8 is due next week and next week I want to murder a cat, then I'm probably not going to do the lesson. So I've never actually
that's the random thing you pick.
It just came into my head. But yeah, so there's the book Financial Sorcery, and then I did a couple arcane audios. One of them was is about a year old, like the Sorcery of Good Fortune, something like that. But in between, there was this strategic business sorcery course.
I took that, yeah.
And it was finished. It was finished twice, in fact, because I did the whole thing once. And I decided no one complained. Not a single person complained. But I decided it just really wasn't up to snuff. Like it didn't stand out in my mind as helpful as it could be, as good as it could be. And so everyone that was in it got to retake the new one for free. But I redid it all from the ground up. And yeah, it's there, but I stopped running it because I had, I've only got so many hours in the day, and so I might pop it up again in the future. But there's a few of the concepts that are tying into this Jupiter course. But the other thing is I didn't necessarily there were a few people that were entrepreneurs that I wanted to give some specific sorcery and advice for. But I didn't necessarily want to get into the magical business consulting thing. It's already there's so many, if you run a business, half of your job now is just swatting off people that want to help you. And the more successful you are doing it without them, the more they want to help you. So
it's true.
It's like, I've been through your site. You've got to let me help you do your SEO so people can find you. And I'm like, you found me?
Yeah, we're communicating now because I caught your attention. All right.
Yeah. It's kind of like a loan. Like once you have a bunch of money,
then everybody wants
to give you a loan.
Yeah. So the reason I bring it up is because I found that there was some really helpful stuff in there for me, because that was right before I started WitchLab, and before I opened the brick and mortar. Right, I was still just at an at-home business, like teaching classes at home and making product at home and doing my best to advertise and whatnot. And you actually in the class you strongly suggested that people not open occult shops. You did, but you had some really, really sound advice. One of the things that you said during that time was that, one shop, that's fine, but 2 shops or 3 shops in an area is actually really healthy because it makes you a destination.
Yep.
When I opened WitchLab, I opened 2 blocks from my friend's shop, Yafa's shop, Spirit of Tiferet. And when we opened, their sales went up. When I went to talk to her before I opened, because we were friends and I wanted her to know, and she was so excited. So it was a very good thing. But yeah, so for a while I was tagging everything the Franklinton Witch District because I just wanted to start that.
and think about it. Think about New Hope, Pennsylvania.
That's what I thought about. All those little tiny shops that it feeds off each other, because then you're going there for the vibe of it.
Exactly. You're going there for the vibe, for the culture, for there being a bunch of stuff. Famously in New York, there is a chess district, like, of chess stores, because there was like the most famous chess store in the city, and then one of the employees got disgruntled, opened up their own chess store right across the street from the original one. And what happened is everyone made more money. It boosted, because suddenly there was this chess district. And so now people are kind of like, well, I wouldn't ordinarily go to New York to buy chess pieces, but now there's like a whole district. So why, let's make a day. Yeah. So, the thing about the brick and mortar and don't open a store advice, it wasn't so much for people like you who have an angle at it, who are developing their store as a living, breathing entity that differentiates itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was meeting so many people that were just like, well, I like witchy stuff, so I'll open a store.
Right.
And it's like, at the end of the day, a lot of your time is just moving widgets. Like, I sold this many widgets today. It could be Hecate oil, it could be this, it could be that. But at the end of the day, you're at a cash register ringing something up for somebody. And so it's sort of like you can't I don't know, just the days of like opening up a store, not in a city. Like, a city is a whole other thing, right? Like, but just like popping up into the suburbs and opening up a more or less generic witchcraft store might not work.
It definitely is difficult. I mean, as we saw with the pandemic, a lot of the shops didn't make it.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of shops during the pandemic, because I think that they were kind of teetering. But I do want to say that the advice that I got from you during that class really did help me in a lot of things. It helped me on things that I wasn't exactly sure about how to make a decision. So you helped me there. But also, when you came for the dark market, which was after that class, you were like, after speaking to people and being there, I think you were there for 2 days, right?
Yep.
2 days. Afterwards, you were like, yeah, no, open a store. This is going to work.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, great, like a huge community. Yep. And, I would love more community-based stuff in general. Because, I was talking with Matt Brownlee yesterday, in fact, and we were talking about this, and I said, when communities are based in a physical area, like the greater Columbus area or something, everybody has to come in, and no matter what their niche interests are, they're meeting at the witchcraft stop or whatever the occult thing is. So, like, when I first got involved with a store, it was the Equinox Books and Curios in Long Branch, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'd have these events, and you'd be there with witchcraft as a science people, Temple of Set people, mystical Christian people, a lot of Lukumi people. And you'd all kind of come together, and you'd talk, and you'd hash things out, and people would learn, and you'd build connections, and you'd build understanding of how other people think. And you'd have to put up with other people's nonsense at times. But for the most part, it was good. Whereas now, instead of location-based, it's interest-based on the internet, right?
Right.
So you're channeled into these rooms that are increasingly narrow in focus. And it's sort of like there's no longer that need to see and interact with other people. Like, this is us, this is what we think. Don't you think the same? Oh, I think the same. Yes, yes. In fact, I think I'll go one further. And then eventually everybody's going one further, one further, and one further until you're barking mad. And, you know, and everyone that doesn't think that way is obviously like so wrong. You have to invent reasons that they, you know, think differently. So just as a healing for our culture, I'm so like, I mean, I make my living on the internet and we're here on the internet, but aren't there days where you just like, you know, launch an EMP if you could and wipe it out?
Yes. 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 Go back to just in-person stuff. Right. Yeah.
I would have to go sell strategic. I'd have to sell my courses like old school Tony Robbins, like ads in the back of a magazine. I'll send you my DVDs and, you know, that kind of
knobs and broomsticks, man.
Right.
The correspondence course.
But yeah, there's, you know, so a little, I mean, communities, live communities. Pittsburgh has a great live community. Sarah Mastros is, you know, right?
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of great community. And of course, Lilith Dorsey now lives in New Orleans, which, you know, I mean, that's never not had a community.
Yeah.
Several communities, in fact.
Yeah. But you can just find what you're looking for down there.
Yeah.
It's easier for sure. Yeah, it's harder to find like specific things here because there's not a lot of open door groups, right? There's not a lot of like just come to me. I mean, we can't do it all now, but even before this, and even online, people come to me looking for stuff, and I have very little resources to give them. I have Circle the Dark Mother, which is a wonderful group that's who would meet live in the store once a month. Once a month, we would have a live, like a meeting where we would either like have a class or a discussion. And then once a month, we would do a ritual. And so we were doing both every month, and they were wonderful because everybody was welcome. They were very not too specific, right? Because they're Gnostic Kabbalists, right? So so beautiful, beautiful rituals, beautiful education. We still do them once a month online, but man, I miss this sitting around and then like we'd have a ritual and then we'd all eat afterwards, and it was beautiful. But yeah, we want to get back to that so badly. Someday. Yeah. We're getting there. Got a shot. Did you get a shot yet? Are you doing that?
I'm definitely doing it as soon as I can. Vermont has been slow so I think I will be able to make my appointment on April 5th. Like I'll be in the right age range. I'm in the doghouse right now because there is also you can sign up for like if they have extra shots at the end of the day, they'll call people, but you have to sign up every week. And I forgot to sign up on Monday, and our friend got one of those overage shots today. And so, you know, it's like, did you sign us up this week? And I was like, no. Dave got a shot. And I was like, I know.
Oh, that's your shamed sound.
That's my shamed sound. I know. I'm sorry.
Let's answer and see some comments real quick. Let's see. So Amy Blackthorn totally called me out on that I just want to be able to say I know where all the bodies are buried and mean it. That's true. I want to be that person who knows. Me and Mortellus, we're ganging up for that. Richard says, what knowledge do you need to know before taking the Sorcery of Hecate classes, or can anyone jump into it?
Anyone can jump in. Anyone can jump in. Honestly, like a Wikipedia knowledge of Hecate would be appropriate. Like, I don't know why you would jump into a $700 Hecate course if you were just like, I don't know what she is, but You know, is this the assault rifle? Because have you ever Googled, like, so for people, the PGM, or the Papyri Greciae Magicae, right? The Greek magic papyri, and Hecate features prominently in them. But if you Google Hecate PGM, you get the Hecate 2 French assault rifle.
That's a thing?
That's a thing. The Hecate 2 PGM, just like the papyri, it's like a long distance sniper rifle. So you don't need that Wikipedia. But
not that one.
You know, kind of basic knowledge of Hecate. The best like book, if you want like intro book, I'm actually there's a bunch of people like Matt Oren, me, Jack Grail, a bunch of Hecate, Jeff Cullen, like all the Hecate people. We're actually leading a study of Sarita Deste and David Rankine's book, Hecate Liminal Rites, on the Hecate Study Group, which is an open Facebook study group.
And where can they find that?
On Facebook, just Hecate Study Group.
That's just look up Hecate Study Group?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. You hear that? Look at
that. Like if you're looking, I mean, you can see it's short, but this is probably the best commonly available book on her like history and basics.
Okay. All right. Liminal rites, is that what it is?
Yeah, that. But beyond that, all the magic stuff, that'll get taught and explained. You'll know what to do, how to do it, and why you're doing it in the course. So you don't need any kind of other magical background. In fact, we have to sometimes unlearn,
deprogram.
Deprogram people from something.
The class is amazing. It really is. The way that it builds, and the way that it sticks with you. And for anybody who's not sure about it, it is a commitment. You have to do something every single day. Every day. Yeah. So, but it gets into you. I can still sit and quickly pull up my things. Right. I can do it quickly because I've done it so many times now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And what I mean by pull up, I mean as in like sit down and like run through the ritual, pulling up all the. It's extensive, man. It is a temple that you build, and it is awesome. It's awesome.
One day I'm going to have a live gathering somewhere where all the Sorcery of Hecate students can come, and we can all just boom together, a few hundred people who are trained in one thing. Right. So rather than having people get of all these different areas kind of like bouncing to learn a little of this and a little of that, everybody who already knows something come together, work it seamlessly, powwow about it, and then, we'll all go home.
I love it. I think it's great. I think you've been talking about this for a long time too.
Yeah, it just becomes I have more ideas than I have time to implement ideas.
Yeah, I know that. I know. I got you. Yeah. Betty says that they consider me to be the community coven leader. See, this is why I don't have time for anything else. Because it's crazy. But Mark Williams is the guy who runs the Circle of the Dark Mother. He's the one who usually writes and performs most of the rituals, and he's amazing and he's sweet and wonderful. He also teaches our Intro to Kabbalah class. He's incredible. And he teaches, and he wrote Embracing Lilith. I have lots of great things to say about Mark. I just love him. But yeah, he says that I gave him the chance to bring everything together. He came to me with the idea, and I just gave him the space.
You were there for him to come to.
Yes, but I gave him the space, and so it's wonderful. But that's the only group that I can really steer people towards. People are always asking me for covens that are accepting people or stuff like that, and my answer now is start your own.
Yeah, well, that's the answer. Start your own.
read yourself some Starhawk and some Mankey and get on it.
There you go.
Make yourself a coven.
And that's the thing. If they get a few people, then you can get Jason Mankey to come to Columbus.
I could get Jason Mankey to come to. That dude just texted me. He was like, "Hey, all these people are on the show. I got a book coming out in June." I'm like, "Let's get you." He was just on a few months ago. I don't know why he's bitching. But no, he's gonna. I'm gonna get some dates. We'll get him back on. But yeah, everybody that's been on my show, I want to get all of them to Columbus. I want to get everybody so we can be in person. You can bask in the wonderfulness that is you.
And you. And
you're welcome. So Jean says that she knows Sarah Mastros and Chance.
Yep.
Yeah. And says, I do appreciate Pittsburgh's witch and pagan community.
Nice.
Let's see what else we got. I know there's lots of other things.
I've never been to Pittsburgh, actually.
I went to Pittsburgh once by myself to go take a taxidermy class.
Oh, nice.
It was awesome. It was really fun. It was totally worth it. And so Christy's asking, can anyone attend your ritual online? And I'm guessing that she is talking to Mark. And if you mean that, yes, meetings and rituals are always open. And if you're looking for them, they're on the WitchLab Facebook page under events. And there's a link there. It's free. You just pop in and it's awesome. Hey, Betty, you got your shot today or
nice.
Tuesday? So yours is your second one is the day before mine. Yep. Making that shit happen. Let's see. What else? Oh, yeah, and witches balls, right? Yeah. Eventually. We'll get back there. We're going to have another dark market eventually, once we can. And Jason Miller will be there.
Most like I'll fly this time. That is a long drive.
Did you drive last time?
I did.
Oh, God, that's crazy. I'll fly you out next time.
I think I chose to drive the last time.
Did you?
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know what the hell got into me.
Well, I have more money now, so I can actually fly you out and get you a decent hotel room.
Woo! The hotel room was fine.
Yeah, it was okay. But I was super shoestring budget for that one. Next one's going to be amazing.
That's in a few years, all the rich witches will be having, something in Monaco.
Rich witches.
It'll all be, it'll be like an occult James Bond episode where we're all, on the casino floor in Monaco, pulling up in our, Lamborghinis and.
I love this. We can manifest anything, right? We can make that shit happen.
Totally.
So the Black School. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems amazing. And I don't know that much about Saint Cyprian.
Right. So Saint Cyprian was a 3rd century hieromartyr. He was a sorcerer. So he was sort of the badass of the Mediterranean. The Orthodox Church has a list of everywhere he went to study black magic and raising the dead and so on and so forth. So he falls in love with this woman in Antioch, Justina. Young girl, her parents were pagan. She, however, was a devout Christian. And so Saint Cyprian, whether stories tell whether he was working for somebody else or whether he just, wanted her. And so he sent his demons out to go and capture her heart, which, definitely not a PC approach to love magic or any that I would recommend. So downright sociopathic in my opinion. But that's what he did. And she gave the sign of the cross and the demons went away. And St. Cyprian was like, okay, well, you guys are fired, better demons. So sends demons out. Second day, Justina is in prayer, goes, more rape demons. God, nomine patri filio. She didn't do it in Latin yet, because Antioch in the 3rd century, but off they go.
I'm still laughing about rape demons. I'm sorry, it's terrible.
And so then Saint Cyprian consults like the devil himself, Lucifer. And Lucifer's like, look, man, you got to get in here with this. But sure enough, 3rd day, sends them flying. Saint Cyprian thinks, this Christianity bit is power, man. I got to get in on this. So he goes and he converts to Christianity.
Okay.
And he becomes a martyr. Eventually, so he and Justina then become friends. Justina becomes a nun and he's a bishop. So they're, chaste friendship their whole lives. And then eventually during the reign of Diocletian, they were martyred together in a boiling cauldron where they, basically like took a bath, like no pain, just kind of sat there and inspired other people to become Christians and so on. So now after this, there is a tradition that emerges. Different traditions, really. What happened to Saint Cyprian's magic books before he was a Christian? Did he really give up magic, or did he continue to practice magic? Did he blend it with Christianity? Because, of course, all the grimoires are essentially Christian. You're always calling the demons through the Christian God. And so there are vast books and stories related to Saint Cyprian. Sweden, right? These Swedish black books and Norwegian black books called Cyprianuses, just the name of a black book. That's how commonly invoked Saint Cyprian is. All the way down Southern Europe, so the Iberian Peninsula, Saint Cyprian is even in the Baltic regions. I'm told that the story of the Scholomance, the black school that Dracula allegedly went to, was run by Saint Cyprian.
Wow.
And there are all these books attributed to Saint Cyprian and stories of finding Saint Cyprian's true book and the things that happen to you when you do. Jose Leitio has done amazing work on Saint Cyprian. In Brazil, Saint Cyprian then becomes an Eshu in and of himself, and they say he learned magic from Eshu Meia-Noite, Eshu Midnight. Up in Peru, Saint Cyprian becomes the go-to guy for San Pedro shaman, where they have a left side of their altar where all the any kind of black magic happens, the right side where all the healing happens, and guess who's in the middle? Saint Cyprian. He's hanging out there, balancing. It goes.
Mark actually says he walks in both worlds.
He walks in both worlds. Up in Mexico, invoked by curandismos, where they do a ritual called the baptism of demons, that is facilitated through Saint Cyprian. So years ago, a friend had given me, but amazingly, Saint Cyprian is was until recently the best kept secret from English-speaking people. It just kind of went around wherever English was spoken.
Interesting.
Didn't take off in England or Ireland or anything like that. Filled everywhere else up. But we kind of just Spanish-speaking people, everybody knew Saint Cyprian but us. So I guess it was 2004 or something. A friend came back from Peru and gave me a vial, an amulet, which had an image of Saint Cyprian in soapstone in it. And that's how I first learned about Saint Cyprian. So I started asking people, and I received some basic prayers, and then come his feast day, I sat down to make contact, and not in the same way that I received stuff from Hecate, where it was like Hecate was really like, I have a system to teach. Whereas, St. Cyprian, it was like I'm reaching out, finding, different ways to work this, that, the other thing. And leads me through few years of really dedicated Christian magic practice, few years of really dedicated Diabolist practice. So at the end of the whole Black School program, which is like a year, there's actually like a full Black liturgy at the end. But you kind of have to be able to do all the Christian stuff, and it's not a rejection of that either. It's a Cyprianic two hands approach. So I say, one should, if someone is able to perform the Black liturgy at midnight on Saturday, they should be able to go to church on Sunday with no cognitive dissonance.
Wow, that is balanced.
So, yeah, and so like Hecate, the St. Cyprian Black School material has become the go-to magical system for a lot of people. More than I never actually thought that it would take off like it had. I had established Sorcery of Hecate and had been working that, and I was sort of like, I want to teach on St. Cyprian. So if the signs emerge, and then once I asked for the signs, then Mal Strangefellow popped up, and he was like, and I already had a plan to call it the Black School after the Scholomons. And literally the day after I asked St. Cyprian a sign, Mal Strangefellow pops on to the Strategic Sorcery group, and he's like, what I'm really waiting for is for Jason Miller to finally open a Black School dedicated to St. Cyprian. And I was like, doesn't get much more direct than that.
What?
And so all these people were like, yes, yes, yes. And so then the following year, the Black School launched.
That's crazy, because I think I remember him saying that, and I didn't realize that was the catalyst.
Yeah, that was the catalyst. So it's now a year long. It's one part is 5 months, and the other part is 6 months, and it's it's on its 5th cycle now.
Just really quick, where can people find all of your courses?
strategicsorcery.net is where you find me and my stuff. So if you click on the blog, I'll be popping out, and you want to get on the Monday Magic email.
You do. You really do. It's really awesome. I get them, and they're awesome. They're good. I feel like it keeps me connected, to the current. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're on that list, you'll get all the notices about the stuff I do. Even the stuff like the Jupiter course where I'm not advertising it to the public. So if you're on that list, you're sort of in my world. So if there's anything where I'm sort of like, I don't want it to be too huge right out the gate. Especially with people I don't know. Like if I'm thinking that things might not go great.
Yeah, you want to have a buffer there, right?
Yeah.
That I understand fully. It can be a little scary sometimes, just putting stuff straight out. Welcome to live.
I had a course called Strategic Self, and it didn't work. It didn't work. I got like halfway through the course, and then I restarted it. And then I got halfway through it again, and I trashed it. And I told anybody in it, it was like if you want your money back, take your money. If not, I'm working on a new course called Level Up, which totally reframes this, and I'll just apply the money to that. And I think maybe like 2 people asked for a refund. Everybody else was like, we know you'll get it to us. It's cool, And so then I did Level Up, and that was like, okay, that's what I wanted.
I like that you're not afraid to just test things, though, either. You're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to try this thing out, see if it works.
That have to do it.
Yeah, you throw it out there, and like the very successful people in the world say, you learn more from your mistakes than you do your successes. That launches the successes, right? So that whole being afraid to fail.
Launches the successes, but it gets it out of your head. I think, some people I know, they have an idea and they're afraid to pull the trigger on the idea for fear that they don't have another idea. Like, this is my big idea. I've got to make it work. It's got to be perfect.
And then you get all that pressure on it.
You don't, it doesn't have to be perfect. You have to execute it, because what'll happen is you'll get another idea. The building of that muscle, like the release of one idea, will give you another idea. Nature abhors a vacuum.
The other thing that you said in that financial course that really stuck with me was that your idea might not be just your idea. Those ideas are out there, man. They're floating around, and multiple people get the same idea at the same time. Who gets it is who acts on it, who just starts working and throws it out there, right?
Yep.
And I've seen it a million times. I've seen it with my own products. I've seen it where, like, I'm working on something and developing something, and somebody else comes out with the exact same thing that I thought was my original idea. But then you're like, oh, well, okay, so we're both doing this.
Yeah.
But it happens. So I think that is the thing that has pressured me more than anything, where I'm like, well, fuck, if I got this idea, that means somebody else might have this idea too, and I need to get fucking working on it. So
Patrick Dunn and Sarah Mastros, both, unbeknownst to each other, were working on a translation of the Orphic hymns at exactly the same time. And then they found out about each other, and of course they're both good people, so they supported one another thoroughly. Think about The Walking Dead and 28 Days Later. They have confirmed that one could not have copied off the other based on when the things were written. But really, we're talking, both of them start with somebody waking up from a coma into a zombie apocalypse. That's a very specific opening.
But it's one of those things that it definitely could have been two people's ideas, because the idea was out there.
Yep.
So I know that you were reading Piranesi.
I read it.
I know you were bored by it, but that's not my point. My point was that, so that book came out almost the same time that Aaron Morgenstern's second book came out, which is oh my God, The Starless Sea, right?
No.
Both have so much in common. It's insane. A dreamlike state, like a dreamlike place that exists that you can only get to by doing some crazy shit. And then the places themselves are so similar. So wow. I read The Starless Sea when it came out, but I bought Piranesi at the same time because they both came out, I swear, within months of each other. And then I read Starless Sea at the beginning of the pandemic, and I just finished Piranesi yesterday. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, these two books are so fucking similar. It's crazy, but I'm pretty sure they were written at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So if anybody wants to read it, I love them both. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern is one of my favorite books ever. So when her second book came out, I bought it and read it immediately. And I'm a Susanna Clarke fan, not as much as you are with, that first book. I know you loved that book. Yeah.
It was so good.
It was.
And then Piranesi was such a...
Did you finish it, though?
I did, yeah.
Okay. I really thought it was good. I really did.
It takes a lot for me to not finish a book. Like, I have to really, really either be overly challenged by a book or like just not in the right place to read a book. Like, I had set down Brothers Karamazov a few years ago, because it was just like I didn't have the dedicated mind space to process that at the time. Nothing wrong with the book. It's just my head that wasn't right. But yeah, I can't really think of a novel that I like started and then put down because I didn't like it.
There's so many.
There must have been a few, but there's nothing I can think of at the moment.
I can tell you the last one that I stopped reading in the middle of. It's called 666. I bought it. Wait, hold on. It's right here. I bought it at a used bookstore. I bought it because it was written by the same guy who did the Amityville Horror. Right? Oh, Jesus, I'm gonna fall all over the place. And it had a really cool cover, and it was about, but this is exactly where I am, and it has been a very long time. So this is the last book I didn't keep reading. I don't know. But when I read it, it's exactly like being in a 70s horror movie. Like they describe like the turtlenecks and stuff.
Nice.
it's really good for the time period. I just have to finish it.
The guys have to have the turtleneck with the chain and the medallion, a la like the Process Church. All the girls dressed like they're extras in the Love Witch with the go-go boots and
Okay, so the Love Witch, I saw it one time and I loved it, and then I tried to watch it again and I couldn't get through it. I was like, man, that sucks.
Some things are like that.
It was an adventure the first time, and the second time it was just campy. So
do you remember how wild we all were for the Blair Witch Project when it was in the theaters?
Were you with us when we saw the pre-screening?
Yeah, and it was like
we were freaked out when we left and we were just like, was that?
No one spoke, no one breathed at the end. And then like it came out on video and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible.
But that theater, that was an adventure that night. Like everyone in that theater was just like, what?
Yep. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So let's see what we got here. I feel like the only person you're not the only person who didn't like Love Witch that much. That's okay. I love the movie poster. I really do. I love a lot of the things. I like a lot of the visuals, but the story's terrible. And the whole like cell phones with the old cars, I didn't get it. That kind of pissed me off.
There's a lot of that going on lately, like this even Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which I never, the first season of that, I was like, sign me up for the Black Church.
Right.
Season 2, I was like, it's great, it's great, it's great. What? Why did you do that? And then like the last season, I was like, okay, well, this is what they're doing. And this season, I swear, I've never been so excited about a show as I was for that first season. And I have not even watched the last season. I'm just like, it's so crushingly disappointing. But yeah, it's like, is it the 50s? Is it the 2000s? I don't understand. Is it an alternative universe where style did not progress past the 50s? But, it's sort of like, I don't know.
We just suspend our disbelief and we enjoy the world as presented to us.
There you go.
But yeah, I couldn't watch the last season either. I tried. I did. I gave it 2 episodes and I couldn't do it.
Same.
Let's see. We have Richard says, are the audio lessons that Jason gives during the courses be ours to use anytime we need to refresh? Are they downloadable to paying members?
They are downloadable. Once you've taken the course, they're yours to listen to. Not to share, obviously, but They're yours to listen to. In fact, I really, really encourage people to download them. Every now and then somebody will be like, oh, I stopped having access. And I'm like, you didn't stop having access. It's the same link that it's always been. And so people are like, I love that it's just there and I don't have to download it. And I'm always like, please, if you care about it, download it, because it really, the saying is true. There is no cloud. It's someone else's computer.
That's a saying? I've never heard that. I like it though. I've never heard that.
God, yeah, no, I mean, I think there's t-shirts and stuff, but yeah, there is no cloud. It's somebody else's computer. And so things happen. If something happens and Dropbox goes under, or whatever it is goes under, it's, you want to have it on your own.
I started keeping recordings of them, and then the file got too big, and I couldn't keep all of the recordings in my current Dropbox level of whatever I had. So because it's a lot of information. It is a lot of video.
Download it into a terabyte. I mean, for like,
yeah, that's a great idea. I just didn't think of that. Yeah. I was trying to be lazy about it.
One thing about living in Vermont is it makes you miss the pre-streaming days. Like, everything now is just streamed. We stream music, we stream everything. So even our iPods are now like trash. Oh, but yeah, when you live here and you're driving around, there's not necessarily cell service. There's not necessarily internet. You can't necessarily even get friggin' satellite because of the mountains. So an iPod or a Zune.
Oh my God.
Something that you can have the MP3, play it. It's all there. That's wonderful. But a lot of places are like this. Like, everything is oriented now to having it all online, stored somewhere else. But we've already seen what happens where the internet, Amazon decides this book isn't cool anymore. It's not passing the sniff test, so we don't have it. And guess what? Now neither do you.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, and that's good. So that's one of the reasons I actually don't keep an online journal of any kind. I still handwrite my journal stuff, because I've had shit disappear, and you're like, wow, it's just gone. It's just gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, keeping your own is good. Even just keeping your own digitally, right? Get yourself a little USB stick. I don't even know if that's still current. I don't know. Very bad with this stuff. I've been made fun of for my computer because my cameras. My friend was like, "Do you want to help you with your camera situation with your live show?" I'm like, "No, I like it this way. It's fine."
What's wrong?
I'm old. I don't want you to see my face that well.
Somebody had said that with like Ultra HD, it's having an effect on Hollywood in the way that, like, movies going from silent to talkies did. Like, suddenly all these people who could get by in silent films were not so great at talkies. And so now that everything is like HD, people with not so great skin are suddenly like, no, we don't want that now on my, 4K 70-inch screen in my living room. Suddenly, I'm like able to see, like, what does Brie Larson use for her acne? Like.
Yeah, it's almost like we're getting too close. We're too close now. But and strange, because we're so close and yet we're so far away. But I can see you so well.
Yep.
Just freaky. All right, so let's. I don't even know if I have more questions. Let's look. Let's see what I have. Oh yeah, I know what I wanted to ask you about. So I have heard you mention numerous times, and if at any point you want to tell me it's none of my fucking business, that's fine. But I've heard you mention numerous times that your interest in the occult started when you were a child because you had some experiences that you couldn't explain, and it encouraged you to look in that direction.
Yeah.
You wanna talk about that?
Yeah. I was at the playground, a good proper 70s playground with sand and
Twirly metal
metal
things and
and concrete, base sticking up out of the sand.
teeth.
And so I don't know, because it was like the harsh reality of 70s playgrounds. Maybe I got clocked in the head. I don't remember. But I remember looking down at my feet and at the sand and then looking up. But instead of looking up and then seeing the sky and the playground and everything, it was like looking up out of a picture. Like the whole world is this two-dimensional thing. And suddenly I was like, hey, what's up here? And so the world was literally at my feet. And I was perceiving things outside of this. And that triggered a bunch of really weird experiences where, for lack of a better word, time would freeze. And anyone that was there would be gone. So like we could be in the car and all of a sudden I wouldn't be able to see the drivers. I wouldn't hear anything, but I would see these like long shadowy figures discussing things. And this happened God knows how many times. And then it just stopped happening around age 6 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, but it always stuck with me. It was one of those things that was more real than real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I started going to church when my parents didn't go to church, which went remarkably well. Actually, I've got not a single bad thing to say about the minister or the church or anything like that. So
that's good.
And his daughter is now like, a pagan, and he was
wow,
very supportive of me the whole way along. So
that's really cool.
Yeah. But I had a teacher when I was about, I guess, in high school. So it was like 9th grade. And I was reading a book on tarot cards that I got from the library. And maybe one of those man, myth, and magic encyclopedias, which I now have a full set of.
We have a couple in the library that I found on eBay. They're so awesome. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so it's not everybody knows this, but Kenneth Grant did a lot of those articles.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of them.
I didn't know that. Huh.
So anyway, I'll
have to look at
I was reading a book on tarot cards, and this teacher comes over and she's like, do you read cards? And I said, no, I don't even know where one would get them because I couldn't drive yet. So, and she was like, well, I'll get you a set of tarot cards.
If the librarian?
What? No, she was a talented and gifted teacher.
Okay.
And so she brought me a deck of Rider-Waite tarot cards. And I started to learn to read. And then I got a copy from some other student who went to New Orleans. He bought a copy of Francis Barrett's The Magus. And so I bought that off of him because he was like, this is all, I don't even want it, but I hear you're into this, so I'll sell it to you. And that's how it all started. Yeah. So I just started digging into magic, and I found Paul Hewson, Mastering Witchcraft. I found The Globe, which was the shop in Lakewood, New Jersey, that was an African fashion store, but there was a conjure shop in the back of the store.
Oh, cool.
So, I just felt pulled in there one day and, as a white boy does, into an African fashion store in Lakewood, New Jersey, and then walks through the store into the back room as one does, right? But no, so then there's this guy, Walter, back there, and he was my first hoodoo teacher. But I always tell people, I'm like, look, this isn't like he saw me and was like, let me teach you. It was really more like, what does this do? Oh, well, you use that, and how would I use this? And, that kind of thing. So not anything super special. It was more
like an apprenticeship. It was more like a lot of questions for somebody who was nice to answer.
Right. And then, so I would bring in things. So I started then on Donald Michael Craig's 11 Lessons in the High Magical Arts. And I worked through that book month per month. And, I had the root work and I had the ceremonial magic, and Paul Hewson was kind of in the middle.
Yeah,
grabbed,
absolutely.
So
Paul Hewson's book, if it's one of the first ones you come across, it's scary, right? There's a lot of scary stuff in it because it's like deep witchcraft stuff all of the sudden, right? Like you've got like Scott Cunningham that's like, we're gonna walk down like a bunny path and like we're gonna teach you some magic. But Paul Hewson's like, go to the graveyard. You got to stab yourself. You're gonna need to get a skull. It's like, what the fuck am I doing?
Well, in the intro to Mastering Witchcraft, he has you say the Lord's Prayer backwards 3 times, and he writes it out phonetically for you to do this. So it was, it was really kind of an amazing adventure. And he's got, it was the only book at that time. Actually, I shouldn't say it was the only book at that time. Like that book had a chapter on vengeance and attack. And so there were other books like the Morrison books, Modern Witches Spell Book, right? The only book on witchcraft that has a spell to support the Pope. It's in the end of Modern Witches Spell Book 2.
Really?
Yeah. She complains about all these crazy hippie liberals, and so you've got to do magic to support the Pope. But anyway. So, but it was definitely, it was a different strain of witchcraft than the Llewellyn Wicca that was out.
It was kind of, it was like the sexy version, right? Like it was like it
definitely was. It definitely was. Yeah.
So when I met you and Matt, I had, I'd almost given up on magic because I thought that the Llewellyn version, just like the Scott Cunningham version, was all there was.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like, meh. When I moved to Philly, I was in a lull, and I was still playing with my cards and stuff like that, but I wasn't feeling it, And then I met you guys, and you weren't doing that. You were doing something else. You were doing, the books that you told me to get was like Magic of Thelema.
Yeah.
And
sorry.
It's funny because Lon and I have talked about that too. Garden of Pomegranates, Donald Craig stuff, right?
Yeah.
All of those things, but it showed me that there was more than just that stuff, and that was very exciting. And I didn't actually find Paul Hewson until after that, and so it was like, and that was, it's like down and dirty witchcraft, which turns out I really fucking love. Like that's the stuff that I was originally attracted to as a child.
Yeah.
I had to go through many, many phases to find the feeling that I was looking for in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it took a while. But now there's so much out there that you can pick and choose whatever path, whatever feeling, whatever flavor you're looking for, there's somebody doing it.
But it's a different kind of problem, though. It's how do you find signal amidst so much noise?
Mm-hmm.
You know? But what you said, that thing that you were looking for, that feeling that you were looking for, I know that because, you know, I mean, I was running around with the OTO at the time because it was the only group that was doing anything, and you could
consorting
together. Yeah. But we were an unusual OTO group. We didn't do the things other OTO groups did, really. And
like what didn't you guys do? I know that I wasn't privy to like the members only meetings, but I definitely hung out,
you know,
for a lot of like
we never did the Gnostic Mass. Like we just made it not a thing. Nobody was doing Resh 4 times a day. We were all into creative magic and you know, things like that. And so the OTO for Thalasis, early Thalasis, was like a tool for us to get together rather than propagate the order.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then we passed it on to other people, and they took it more in a, you know, oh, well, we should start doing this mass thing every week. And once you start doing that, it eats up so much attention and energy. Like that's it. Now you're a church. You're the Crowley Church, who does occasional things as well. But the whole, you know, it becomes the main focus.
You're the Crowley Church.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
So, you know, I mean, that's yeah, we were a little different, but you gotta see, like, if it doesn't exist, you can make it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can bring that back into it. I mean, I remember having a conversation with you. You had already moved to Ohio, but we were talking, and you were just like, "Yeah, I love witchcraft, but like, you know, less hippie nudity, more go-go boots." Like, and I was like, sign me up for that shit. You know, yeah, absolutely. Let's
that sounds exactly right.
Yeah, those were your words. They stuck with me. And so it was like, yeah, absolutely. And so you got to make that, you know, you gotta forge that. If it doesn't exist, you make it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But I'm not ready to start any kind of organization. So if anyone wants to follow me, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But yeah, it's I think it is a matter of finding what it is that attracts you so that you keep doing it. You know, this is the advice that I give to people when they come in and they're like, well, what kind of magic should I do? Or like, you know, I want to do this spell. Should I make it a bottle spell? Should I make it a candle spell? Should I do this? And I'm like, do what you want. Like the thing that attracts you is going to make your magic stronger. So do the thing that makes you excited to do magic, right? If whatever that is. Same with picking out your own tarot cards. What deck makes you feel funny in your tummy? Because that's the deck you're going to pick up over and over and over again.
Now, see, you know, there I have strong opinions to the contrary.
Bring it.
And I say this because, all right, my whole tarot story was
first off, just real quick, just because Rachel said this, more disco balls and glitter. If that's your magic, bring that shit to the shop, Rachel.
Absolutely.
All right, go.
All right. So growing up, everything I read, everything I did said, you know, well, the most symbolically correct deck would be one of the Marseille decks. And then I would look at the Marseille decks and I'd be like, they're boring. And
they're classic.
They're kind of ugly. I want occultism. I want these super awesome, symbolic, really highly occult decks. You know, like the Heindel Tarot looks like somebody blew up an occult store in 1987 and just took pictures of shit flying everywhere. And none of it makes sense. It's like, you know, there's a rune next to the I Ching, next to a big Native American owl-faced woman, and that's a card. And, you know, so it's you know, and so I would do, you know, and I'd learn my tarot and Kabbalah and elements and things like this. And I remember going once to a card reader who was traditional card reader, cartomancer, not an occultist. And so she's given me this reading, and I'm like, you know, 24, 25, head full of Crowley and you know, arrogance.
Wait. I need a timeout for 1 sec. In your autobiography, at some point, you need to have a chapter called Head Full of Crowley.
So just head full of Crowley and arrogance, and she's giving me this incredibly accurate reading. But she's just flipping cards. Like, she's just laying cards down without, and I'm like,
are you talking about playing cards?
No, Marseille cards.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't even understand. Like, is she not, what layout is she using? You know, she's not mentioning the elements at all. What tree, what Hebrew letter does this relate to on the tree of life? She's not doing any of this, but she's giving me an accurate reading. But I'm totally just like, but this isn't, you know,
but
what
you're
the
discounting her.
He's not stuck in Kabbalah la la land. Nothing wrong with Kabbalah, just has nothing to do with tarot historically. So I one day, actually, it was Paul Hewson again with his book on tarot.
The Devil's Picture book?
No, it was I did read that, which is wonderful, but it was like Origins of the Mystic Tarot.
Okay.
And so he talks there about the difference between occult readers and cartomantic readers, and how cartomantic readers link cards and build a sentence, and they usually read in line. And so then I start studying the Tarot de Marseille, and I start following up with Camellia Elias and a few other people. And I start to realize that it's plain for a reason, because when you're looking at the Tarot de Marseille, and let's say that you've got, I don't know, the High Priestess and the Star next to one another, right? You can relate that the woman that is the High Priestess, she's dressed, she's seated, she's studying, is now laying everything down. She's taking her clothes off, she's dumping her water, she's now abandoning this pretense, she's abandoning the study, going into a realm of pure experience and so on. And so there's this connection between the cards that you can't make if there's all this other shit everywhere. Like, if there's just too much stuff, it gets lost. And the thing is, there are, you know, the first Marseille deck was 1619, the Noblette, and they've been making decks in that style up through the present day. And sure, there are differences, but there are things that are kept, that once Rider-Waite kind of happened, Pamela Smith Coleman, really.
Pamela Coleman Smith.
Yeah, thank you. Under the direction or influence of Waite.
Under the instruction, she was mostly on her own for that time, but yeah.
But they kind of, they threw out a lot of that. So the reason that the magician's feet are pointing away from one another, the fact that the hangman's noose is around Justice's neck, the fact that the fool is most often in the same physical position as death,
Really?
And that death is is a card that is not named but has a number, and the Fool is named but has no number. So together they become the same being, but in different states of life and death. So yeah. Now in the noblette, they're actually, this is a hand colored printed noblette from Flournoy, but you can see they're, in this case they're opposite. It's probably a printing error. But
yeah, the Fool is facing the wrong way. That's interesting, right?
Yep. Whereas in later decks, like
is that a leather case you have there?
Yeah, if you get these sort of restored decks from the Flournoys, which you can get from the Hermit's Lamp, and you could probably order them too. You can buy these like custom leather cases for them.
Oh.
So this one came out like a few decades after that one. So this is like, you know, late 1600s, early 1700s, I forget. Yeah. And now you can really see it's like an X-ray.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Look at that.
So there are all these things that are not just, oh, that's cool in that deck. They're tradition to tarot. They are what makes tarot tarot.
And that's pre-Rider-Waite.
And this is pre-Rider-Waite. Like tarot really goes from, you know, the Visconti decks, which are wonderful, and I'm doing a lot of reading now with the new Madrone restoration because it's all like shiny and gold gilt. But those were painted for the Visconti family and the Sforza family. They were not something that you or I would ordinarily have access to.
Right.
The first printed tarot deck was this Noblette, and then the Conver and the Dodal and all these other ones. And this is tarot for hundreds of years and still is in, you know, a lot of the world. So I have scads of decks. So I love non-Marseille decks too. I just did a thing where I listed the 5 tarot decks.
I saw that. I wanted to talk to you about that. Yeah, totally forgot I want to talk to you about that. Yeah, so you broke them down into what?
So I have the 5 traditional decks, which could be, so they don't have to be old. They just have to be done according to the tradition of tarot that emerged like 400 years ago. So the Visconti Madrone, the Noblette, and some like a newer one from Chile, but it's still very much a Marseille style deck and things like that. And there are new decks done in this style all the time, but they have, you know, the pip cards are the batons. Mm-hmm. And what happens is you actually, once you learn to read it like that, opening up, say, the Sacred Rose Tarot, seeing the pictures on like the 5 of Swords, it becomes a problem because you don't have as much flexibility to apply it anymore. Whereas, you know, if it means destabilizing a home, well, depending upon the situation, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. But if you're reading it with a new deck and the 5 of Cups is going to be like, it's all sadness and woe, well, then it's really hard to say, oh, well, this is actually a really good thing.
I disagree with that. I often tell people when I'm doing readings that every card has 2 sides to this story.
Yeah.
Right. So but no, I understand what you're saying though, is that the visual tends to inhibit, right? It almost gives you a box you have to work within.
Right. And so the other thing is the cartomantic reading style is picture first. Like the meaning, the traditional meanings, all like they're all secondary to what is this picture telling me. Like, I remember Howard asked me about his cat. He had to bring the cat to the vet, right? And he's like, I'm really worried about the cat. What's going to happen? Could you throw a couple cards? And I don't remember what the first card was, but the second card was the magician, so indicating the vet. And I was like, and what the vet is going to tell you is that you're going to have to give your cat medicine by mouth.
So good.
And
this reading just the pictures, I think it's so simple that it's almost hard to do because it's so simple. You have to throw out all that tarot knowledge and just be like, you're gonna have to put drops in your cat's mouth, dude.
Yeah. And you
it's
have
not
to
about finding your strength or anything like that.
Yep. You have to lay it on the line and be willing to be wrong. And so in 2016, I developed this saying that it's better to be wrong than be vague. And I said it at the Crucible convention because in August of that year, I had done a reading on who would win the presidential election. And my reading was that Trump would win. And the polls all said Hillary Clinton would win. Like, no one was projecting that Donald Trump would win. And so then came October, and I was at the Crucible convention, and now it was like a lock. It was 99% chance Hillary Clinton would be the next president of the United States. And I was asked in the class if I wanted to retract my reading because I was clearly going to be wrong.
Retract your reading?
Retract. Do I want to clarify my reading or restate, reinterpret? And I said no. I said I know other people, when I posted it, other people were like, no, this shows Hillary Clinton winning. And I was like, no, it doesn't. And I said, no. And I said, but I'm willing to admit that I'm probably wrong. And believe me, I would have been glad to have been wrong. And that was the moment I stopped for a minute. I said, you know what? It is better to be wrong than be vague. Vague is gobbledygook. Vague is twaddle. You can't do anything really with it other than make people feel
confused.
Yeah. Or happy or scared or whatever, mostly scared. And then I was like, it would be better to be exact and then tell people, watch out for this. Maybe it's wrong, but if it's not, this is what you need to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how intelligence works, right? Like in an intelligence agency, they get a piece of data and then they weave it with other bits of data to create actionable intelligence. And so I said, this is why it's better to be wrong than be vague. And then, of course, I was in Disney World during the election, and my phone started ringing off the hook because people were like, you were right, you called it, holy crap. And I was like, I have never wanted to be wrong so much in my life.
Right. Right? Please, God, don't let me be right.
Yeah.
But
yes, if for people that don't want to dive into even amongst the Marseille tarots and Visconti tarots, you should pick one that speaks to you a bit.
I mean, as far as I know people who literally have a fuzzy bunny deck, and that shit is the most accurate motherfucking thing, and it is ruthless, and it's full of just carrots and sweet fuzzy whiskers and things. And every time she pulls that deck out, because she always pulls it out at the bar, I'm just like, shit. Fuzzy bunny deck.
Probably a lot more about the reader than the deck. There are some readers who are just scary accurate.
Yeah. So you suggested, and you talked about the Hermit's Lamp a second ago. You suggested a class in Marseille reading.
Yeah.
That Andrew was putting on at the Hermit's Lamp, and I took that course, and that course changed the way I looked at reading, because of the reading the lines, right? Yeah. Lay the cards out. How does this person change into this person, and then what they're holding, how does that change? Like, and the things around them, how does that change? It was revolutionary for me.
But you can't see it if the deck is too artsy, if it's too busy, if it's got too many different things going on, because there's no constancy between the cards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a dilemma, because you know everybody wants a beautiful deck. Like I mean, but I love the Soprafino deck. It's gorgeous, but it too it follows like a pattern, and it's not super busy. Whereas some things, they become, you know. Yet I get great reading. Like I read with the Lunatic Tarot from Japan, and I get great readings out of it. And you know, the cards there are significantly different, and they're weirdly kinky, and you know, stuff like that. And you know,
I know what you like.
The chariot is driven by like two people with ball gags instead of horses. So
that's awesome.
I saw it and I was like, sold.
I want that. I have a deck. I was going to show you something. Where's that deck? Here it is. I have a friend who is an artist, and she travels around the country showing art. And she often sends me gifts back home. And so one time she sent me this deck of tarot cards. These are literally like cardboard. Mm-hmm. These are the backs. And then they're collage work.
Oh, right? Nice.
Yeah, they're really amazing. You would love them. There's lots of, it's like a nudie playing deck. Yeah. So, but these cards, and just to shout out who this is, I can't read anymore. I'm old. Ishtarlet is her Instagram, ISHTARLET. And she also has Etsy. But anyway, so she put these things together, and they were at an art show, and so my friend bought them. So I keep these on my altar, and I use these for personal readings. Scary accurate, scary amazing, like just. And they're weird. This is the Magician card.
Nice.
Right? They're fun, but
they're too. They're not super busy either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like this is the Lovers. I mean, it has everything represented.
Yep.
And it's super simple, but you can use it in that way, in that same way. That like, what does that change into? What is this story? What's actually happening in this card? So yeah, decks can be homemade even. They're Absolutely. Amazing. I actually know a guy. I think he used to be part of the OTO at some point, but that you get him talking about that, and it's all kinds of ugly. But yeah. But he literally carries his deck. He designed his own majors, and he has them in his pocket all the time, right there.
Nice.
Yeah, because I met him. So my friend was like, "Hey, you need to meet this guy. He designed his own tarot deck, and he carries it with him." I'm like, bring me to him right now. I need to meet him right now. And he was, when he started describing things to me, like, it's like, that's every new teacher, right? Gives you a new perspective. This thing smells amazing. It smells like incense. But I love that. I will learn tarot from a guy who has them in his overall pocket right now in a party.
Silly not to.
Tell me your shit right now. Tell me all of it.
Be silly not to.
I agree. I feel like I've kept you very, very long, but I could talk to you forever. So I'm gonna do one last. Anybody have any questions for Jason Miller. Anybody want to know anything about his classes, what he does, or literally just anything? I really want you to test this guy.
Anything at all.
Anything. Mostly magic related, but literally anything. You're pretty good at life in general. So, hey, how do I refinance my house with the best?
Sadly, that's the secret of success with magic, actually, is that you have to, like, if you're putting 100% effort into magic, you need to take 30% of that effort off and put it into what you're doing magic for. Otherwise, your magic has nothing to actually grab onto.
Oh, that was beautiful. I want someone to actually like quote that. That was perfect.
Yeah.
That's something you taught in the financial class a lot too. Okay, so now's your time to start typing in questions if you have any questions. But that was a really good part of it. Was like, hey, yeah, the magic you're doing is to tip the scales, right? But you have to do the actual work. Go get your fucking business license, advertise, do all the things.
Yeah.
Treat it like you're not doing magic for it, and then do magic for it.
Yeah.
And that advice was incredibly helpful, you know.
And the thing is, like, people will say, yeah, we know you got to do the mundane and then the magical, but I want you to show me the magical and I'll worry about the mundane. And they don't get it because the mundane is what will determine the magic you do.
Yes.
What you're doing mundanely will determine the magic you do, and it will determine the chance it has to work and what you're working with. And then, so you do those, you know, that magical and that mundane bit, and then situations change, and then you go back in and you bolster this effort and that effort. And you know, it's not a first I do the mundane, then I do the magic, or then I do the magic, then I do the mundane. It really is an interwoven marriage of these two. And so if people want to start a business, or they want to kill their debt, or they want to get laid, or whatever it is, if it's like, you know, 100% effort into magic and 0 effort into learning, you know, proper grooming skills, or how to
kill your dad,
run a business, or, you know, whether you should or should not have a credit card and which one, then yeah, you're just gonna get screwed over.
Yeah.
Your magic is just gonna make you fail bigger.
Oh.
or worse, it will keep your status quo. Like, it will get you just enough to keep going as you've been.
Keep walking that fucking treadmill.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so we have some questions. Richard, I'm sorry, that was Rachel. She can help us with the refi. She knows people. It doesn't need to be magic. Richard says, what necromancy books would you recommend for spirit work?
Whoa. There's a book called Communicating with Spirits. It's actually by Drunvalo Melchizedek, not Drunvalo, Draja Makarik, but he wrote it under another name. And I can't remember what Martin somebody or other. But it's great. I've got a book out called Communicating with Spirit, Consorting with Spirits. But whenever that gets out. What's that?
When does your book come out?
I don't know yet. I haven't heard back from the publisher yet, so I turned it in, and everything is moving slow because of COVID. Like, I was months late because I was just like, yeah, between having kids, homeschooling, and everything else, I'm like, you know, it's hard to get in, just ennui. It's hard to hard to get it all done. Yeah. So books on necromancy, you know, Mastering Witchcraft has a great section on necromancy.
Oh my God, it does.
Yeah.
It's so good. Right? Okay, Richard Crow wants to know, is there any chance of you know, coming to WitchLab anytime in the future? Just say yes. I'm going to hassle you till you do.
Yeah. I'd love to come out.
Just say yes.
I'd love to come out as soon as COVID breaks. I'll be popping around.
Excellent. Excellent. And James Kindler, which is my vaccine husband, evidently, says, you're amazing. As amazing as Tiffany has described to me, because James and I had an hour-long ride this morning to go get our shots, and we talked about you a lot.
Oh.
I was like, he's this, and he's this, and he's this to me, and, blah, blah, blah. But the best quote of the night is, she's hot, but not tits out hot.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, she's not, Hecate isn't a sex goddess or something like that. And yeah, so any kind of thing that was like over the top was sort of like, no, Jason, don't do that.
No, ew, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, let's see. Oh, also, yes, Mortellus. Mortellus has lots of necro info. That's what Betty Ann is saying. Mortellus. I can't wait to meet Mortellus. Have you ever met Mortellus in real life?
Nope.
I want to meet them. Sorry, I want to meet them so bad. There's a bunch of people.
I don't even know who they are.
They just came out with a book called Do I Have to Wear Black? And it's about funerary rites for people who have pagan interests. They don't necessarily want to have a regular.
Dig it.
It's great. They are great. Mortellus is fucking great. Sorry, I'm having pronoun issues. Mortellus is amazing. They are amazing. Love them.
It happens, it happens to everybody. It's happened to me, but everybody is also really kind about it, and they'll just gently remind that, it's this, and I always make the effort to kind of be like, yes, oh my God, sorry, So,
right.
Yeah.
I try to default to they most of the time now, because I think
that I won't do.
I find it's easier. I really do. Okay, here's why. Let me tell you why. Because when I start telling you a story about a person that did a thing, and I'm like, well, they did this and they did that, and it was amazing, and they have this and da da da. You don't automatically assign a gender to them, so you don't automatically have this preset opinion, right? Like, you don't start immediately picturing a man or a woman. I'm going to tell you, oh, they just became the head of this thing, or they just discovered this new thing. Doesn't matter what gender they are.
True.
I like that.
But if I were to say Tiffany came, can you run out and grab Tiffany? They left their keys on the counter. It's different when there's a name or a person known involved. So I don't default to it, is what I'm saying.
That's fair. I tend to default to it because there are a lot of people in my life that are have changed their pronouns, or sure. And so I try to be respectful. I feel like it's the easiest blanket. That makes sense. But for people who have told me specifically that their pronoun,
there are issues the other way around. But listen, I don't have any skin in the game. So
same.
I'll say I listened to Natalie Wynn from ContraPoints, who was canceled over the idea that it should not be the default. So we'll I would point people there.
It's a tricky situation to navigate. I feel like that for sure.
But I don't have that many people in my life. You live in Columbus, which I think is like second only to San Francisco. And I learned that at Dark Market.
Yeah, we are the Midwest San Francisco. We're like the oasis.
Yeah.
Yeah. My kids go to a school that's mostly gay and trans kids.
Yeah.
It's great. The school is great. The people are great. The administration is great. So for anybody who wants to know who that is in Columbus, it's called ACPA. It's the Arts and College Prep Academy, and it is pretty much like Fame, if anybody remembers that movie. Like kids like singing and dancing in the hallway and
the show
expressing themselves. So when we went for admissions, we were talking to the admissions person. She's actually the person who started the school, and she's the one thing you can get kicked out for is bullying. Mm-hmm. But like, so she has this, so behind her was all these pictures of all the kids, like they're from the past year. And one of them was a kid in a chicken suit. He came to school in a chicken suit for like the first 2 weeks, and nobody said anything. They just allowed him to be in that chicken suit learning. It was fine. Everything was fine. He eventually stopped wearing, I think, the chicken head. But like, there is no bullying. You can literally show up in any way that you want, and you're allowed to be there and learn. And the teachers and everybody is just so supportive. So yeah. And I have a meeting.
Someone who was bullied horrendously as a kid, I'm all for it.
Me too. When Scar went, and we found the school almost by accident. But when she started going, and she'd been there a couple of months, and she was like, "Mom, it feels so good to not be called fag every day."
Mm.
It's like, oh, that was happening. Okay. Because you don't know as a parent, like you don't know until they tell you, because they're not suffering anymore. Right. So I have an appointment to get my third child in on Tuesday. I'm talking to the administration, and we're getting Jack in there too. So.
Nice.
So all 3 of my kids go there now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a good school. And because Scar's been going for so long, she's actually in her senior year now, and she's taking mostly college courses. Wow. I know, right? They like gay kids, and they give you college courses.
That wasn't the wow. The wow was just that, I remember when you had your first child, and,
Scar is 18. Yeah. I know. It's crazy. Anna's birthday was yesterday. She turned 14.
Oh, man.
I know. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. I was thinking about our history the other day. I was thinking, so Matt Brownlee is actually Scar's godfather. Mm-hmm. And you married Paul and I.
I did.
You were our officiant. You actually were the dude who pronounced us married.
Yeah.
It's been a long journey, man. Like that's pretty rad.
Yeah.
All right.
There like somebody from Ween who was playing guitar or something?
No. So my maid of honor, Jen Melchiondo,
right.
Her brother is Dean Ween, Mickey Melchiondo. Right. But it was actually her boyfriend who was playing guitar.
Oh, okay.
So the sister of Ween was my maid of honor. Yeah.
I thought it did, I was like, wow, that doesn't sound very much like Ween at all.
No, that was her boyfriend that she was just dating at the time. And he was an amazing acoustic guitar player. So he just played whatever while I walked down the aisle. Yeah. All right. It's almost 11. I'm going to let you go because it's late. But one thing I want to say is that Jason Mankey will be on the show June 9th. He gave me a date, so we're all good there.
Awesome.
Yes. All right. Jason Miller, tell people where they can find you.
In Vermont.
Oh, in person? Oh, so we should all just pilgrim. Oh, hey,
yeah.
I have a minivan. It'll take us, I don't know how many hours to get there. You ready?
It's a small state, actually. You could just cross the border and ask where I am, and they'll probably just say, where we are. Going from a state of 8 million people to a state of like 600,000 people.
It's crazy. When you said 800 in your town, I was like, fuck, that's literally double the size of my high school graduating class.
Yeah. No, the local grades elementary school had like 90 kids K through 6. So combined grades in some cases, crazy town. But so you can find me at strategicsorcery.net.
Strategicsorcery.net. Beautiful. And all your classes and things and stuff. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Like you said, definitely get part of the, what was the thing that the Magic Mondays?
Yeah, Monday Magic.
That's it.
If you go to strategicsorcery.net, there'll be a little link there to sign up.
Because that way, because you are really good at promoting, like, hey, next round of Sorcery Hecate is starting. Next round of, Black School is starting. You're really good at that promo stuff. I want to tell you that. I get your emails. It works.
I try. I mean, I don't do it. You know, people sometimes ask for like secrets and things, but I am really old school. Like, develop a product, tell people about the product, and deliver the product, and charge a rate that
you can live with.
That you can live with and is commensurate with the value you're giving. But yeah, they're like, just play it as straight as possible. Like, this is what it costs. I do have like price options, but they're not like, if people sign up for the weekly, it doesn't cost any more in the end than the full price. It's the same number. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
you're not trying to trick anybody.
Yeah, there's never any sales. There's never a,
that's another thing you taught me. That's a thing that you taught me that I actually have held on to, is that there is value in what you have, and that is the thing that's what you price it at, and you don't give discounts or sales or anything like that, because that's the value of it.
Full price or free?
Full price or free?
I for COVID, I made my meditation course free. I took a $300 course.
I remember.
And yes. I made it free.
I know. I shared it a bunch
because I'm too lazy to update the website.
I was like, you guys have no idea what you're getting here. This is amazing. Richard Crow says the Black School is amazing. Works very effectively.
Thank you, Richard.
There you go. There you go. We've even got a testimonial. All right, my friend, I love you.
Love you too.
I can't wait to see you in person again. I feel like the dark market was the last time we saw each other, right? Or was it when we had lunch in Tom's River? Was that?
No, it was the dark market.
Okay. All right. Well,
Tiffany said to say hello.
Oh, hi, Tiffany. And hi to your kiddos. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love your little Vermont life.
It's like an NPR show. My Vermont life.
My Vermont life. My magical Vermont life.
There you go.
All right. To everybody who's watching.
Ira Glass out here. He can.
What's that?
I said I have to get Ira Glass out here. He can come and,
That'll be awesome. All right. To everybody who's watching, and to Jason, I love you guys all. I hope you have a wonderful evening. It was so good to see you all. So good to talk to you all. I'll see you soon. 2 weeks. We got another show. 2 weeks. Don't miss it. And also this Saturday, there's a class. Don't miss it. All right. Bye.